Hallelujah. Glory to Jesus, to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Before I proceed, I would like to appreciate all my tailors out there that are humble, that are efficient, that are effective. Thank you. I know that it's not every tailor that does those things. So I want to appreciate all the fashion designers there that say what they are going to do and do what they are going to say. Thank you. May God continue to bless you for doing your work diligently. Thank you. Lying spirits. Years ago, there was this concert in London, and I joined one of the groups because it was a different groups. So I joined one of the groups. The first day I went for rehearsal, there was this lady that sat beside me. Beautiful lady, very beautiful. So we became friends. So, and then I would normally drop her at home. I would give her a lift to home. So the first day I drop her at home, she just pointed. She lives in these blocks of flats. She just pointed, that's my house. I don't know the house number. And then later on, we exchanged our contacts. And then all of a sudden, I noticed that she was not coming again. So I decided to call. So when I called, the computer said that number is no longer in use. Well, I just assumed, okay, maybe she was using pay as you go. People just change numbers. I don't know whether it's still like that now. I know when they introduced pay as you go, people will just, so I don't know much about that. So but I now approached the head of that group. I said, this sister, I hope she's fine. Make sure she's fine. So I left it there because like I said, I met her there. So I just left it there. Fast forward years after, maybe 5 years, 4 years after, we now met each other again in this church. There was this anniversary. There was this church that was having an anniversary. So we saw, and then we were so happy to see each other. And I said, what happened? They disappear. She now held my hand and took me outside, looking for where to sit so that we can talk. She started by saying, Auntie, please, do not be desperate for anything. She now reminded me, said, that time, remember I was so desperate to have my stay. She said, Auntie, I entered into the hands of a fake prophet. Fake prophet, Pity Bible. Because then she told me that the dad was the head of a church in Nigeria and the mom was a prophetess. I said, Auntie. Anyway, she was hypnotized. She was giving all her salary to this fake prophet. This fake prophet introduced her to an incompetent solicitor, not knowing that they were both working together. This was years ago. I'm talking about years ago, not talk less of now. She said, Auntie. And I said, He said, well, you took the prayers of my parents back home and the church to deliver me. She said, Auntie. She now said, I am not lost you. And she busted into cry. And we held and we cried together. Said, I am not lost you. You know what I mean? You know what I mean by that? Lying spirit. I want to say sin is a sin. Maybe lying spirit is not yours. You know yours. I know mine. Sin is a sin. I just want to read Proverbs 6:16-19 that says, there are 6 things that the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable to him: haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked schemes, feet that are quick to rush into evil, a false witness who pours out lies, and a person who stirs up conflict in the community. I won't go much on that. But I just said I will say it because, okay, this is lying spirit that we are talking about. There is this lie that is going on in the social media. And the irony of it is that that lie is coming from people that was once a Christian and left the faith. They are telling people there is no hell, there is no paradise, that everything will end here. I want to ask them, please, where is your book of reference? Because we have a book of reference. I want to ask, where is this lie coming from? I know where it's coming from. It's coming from Satan, of course. Saying, so people are just doing whatever they like. That, okay, there is no hell. I want to read Daniel 12. I want to read Daniel chapter 12, verse 2. Because I want to take it from the Old Testament and move it. Daniel 12, verse 2 says, multitudes who slept in the dust of the heart will awake, some to everlasting life, others to shame and everlasting contempt. That is New Testament. Jesus taught us in all his teachings. You know, we can see that in Luke 12, verse 5, Matthew 25, verse 41 and verse 46, Luke 16, 22 to 23, and Matthew 24, 36 to 38. And I will read the account of that Luke 16, 22 to 23. It says, and it came to pass that the beggar died and was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried, and in hell he lifted up his eyes, being in torment, and seeth Abraham afar, and Lazarus in his bosom.